If you run an e-commerce brand and you're not consistently sending email and SMS campaigns, you're leaving a lot of money on the table. I helped one brand generate an extra $765,000 in just the first 4 months of working together. And that was simply by cleaning up their campaign planning and execution process. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how I did it. Every month, I'm jumping on audits with 7- and 8-figure e-commerce brands, and I consistently see this coming up. Whoever's running the email marketing, whether it's the founder, a CMO, or someone else on the team, they usually just don't have enough time. Write the emails, get the emails designed, get everything executed. That whole workflow process is just an absolute disaster. And what happens is they have a million things on their plate, and then email marketing just kind of gets pushed down to the bottom of the list because it's not as urgent, even though it's very important. Now, this was the same case with this health food brand that I worked with. The person in charge just didn't have time to consistently send out email campaigns. They already had their automation set up, everything was looking good, but the campaigns were just not there. So let's jump in the account and take a look at what we did. I wanted to show you what was going on before they started working with me and in those first 4 months that we were working together. The few months before, you see the flow revenue, which is green here, was pretty consistent. It was about $200,000 every single month. And these were automations that they had already set up and were working. And I see this sometimes in brands where they've set up the automations, they've hired someone to do it, maybe they've done it themselves. And if you're consistently paying for Facebook ads or front end, the flows are going to do a very good job. They're going to be consistent. But the problem is flows are dependent on traffic. So if it's too expensive one month and you cut your paid advertising budget, your flows are going to drop. If you scale up your paid advertising budget, your flows are also going to scale up. Campaigns are really where you have the opportunity for the fastest growth with revenue because it's dependent on your list. You can see here in January, $120,000 in campaign revenue. And then there's 2 months here with no revenue whatsoever from campaigns. They just could not send it. And then the next 2 months, $90,000 here, $69,000 here. So they sent a handful. June, I think they sent a few more. And then July is when I took over and running the show for them. I actually started in June too, but I'm giving them credit for that. You can see here immediately in the first, it's about 50-50, the split. And then after that, the campaigns are 65%, 60%, 62%. So immediately there was a huge takeoff in that. And then here, the growth really shot up. In July, 42,000, 58,000 in August, 46,000 in September, and 58,000. So we're averaging around 50,000 a month. Before that, it was like 32,000, 31,000. So the lift was much greater with the email campaign revenue. So to give you another deep dive into this, this is a report. Basically, I dump all the campaign straight from Klaviyo into this sheet, and then I can look at it month over month, which I think is a lot more helpful. So what I did here was I compared the 4 months before I started working with the brand and the 4 months after. These first 4 months, they sent about 1.2 million emails, generated $349,000 in revenue. You can see here in those 4 months that we started working together, we sent 5.6 million emails. So almost 5 times more recipients. And you can see that the revenue just over $1 million. One point people always talk about is, and I hear this from founders a lot, is they're worried about sending too many emails. They're worried about spamming their list and people don't want to see the emails. To them, I say this, you don't have to worry about sending too many emails in a week as long as you're sending good content. With this brand, we simply went to 2 emails per week and then 1 SMS campaign per week, and we found that was a good spot, and we saw a really good return right away. And people always say, oh, I'm worried about unsubscribe rates. I want you to look at this right here. When they were sending maybe 2 emails a month, unsubscribe rate was 0.93%, spam was 0.06%, and this is when we sent 5 times more emails in the follow-up. The unsubscribe rate fell almost by half. And then same with the spam complaint rate. It actually dropped because people were getting more emails. So let's talk about how all this works. The key to consistently sending email campaigns and SMS is you need to have a locked in workflow. And the heart of that is coming from the email campaign calendar. And this is the calendar setup that I use for every single client that I work with. And what I do is I come in, and you can see here is I choose where I'm sending the email, and then I put in the title and the theme, who it's going to, who we're excluding, if we're excluding everyone. Halfway through every month, I go and I start planning for the next month. So we would come down here and we come in, and I just pick days of the week that we want to send. If you want to do every Monday and Wednesday, that's fine. I just come in and I do Monday, I do Wednesday, and then I just slot that on the calendar. So we know, okay, we have 8 or 10 email campaigns, we have 4 SMS campaigns going out, and then that helps us to plan for what we're trying to do. And this calendar is very crucial because it lets us know we write everything in here. We do the planning of coming up with the ideas for the emails. emails first, and then we come in here and then we just kind of write down what we want. So we have everything in place, we have our framework, and then we can hand it over to our copywriting team and the design team and so on and so forth. Now, the next thing is like, what are we saying in our emails? What types of emails do we do? And I know it's very intimidating because I like to think about kind of two parts. So you have your themes, your angles, your hooks, and then you have like the email frameworks that you're going to use to kind of pour those ideas into. And it's very helpful to separate them because one idea work with a few different frameworks, and then you can have 5 emails from one idea, for example, if you know how to do it. So here are 5 email frameworks that I like to use, and I used with this brand that helped us to just kind of get into a good rhythm and keep things simple, but just focus on quickly executing. The first one that I think is the easiest to slot for every single month is holiday related. It's about to be July, so we have July 4th coming up, and it's very easy because you can just look on a calendar, you can go into ChatGPT and say like, are there any holidays coming up? And you can slot those in on your calendar, and it's fun and it's timely, especially those big holidays where like there's going to be a promotion around it. So if your brand is doing discounts or you have seasonal sales and stuff like that, first thing I would do is slot in holiday related emails. And it's great because it's time sensitive, kind of like ties your product to like a bigger cultural thing that's happening at the moment. You really don't want to miss holidays. People are kind of used to shopping, and if you miss those, you're going to miss out on a lot of revenue. So the second framework that I find really helpful is letter from the founder, plain text, story-based kind of email. And these are really effective because they stand out in someone's inbox when they open it. And then the next thing is I always like to do some kind of story related to a problem or a situation that people who are in your market are kind of having. I like to be inspirational with these emails, maybe give a little bit of a deeper insight. You can have a lot of fun with this, but these emails are very effective at building trust and also getting people to read your emails, which is very important. And these plain text emails were some of our best performing emails over that 4-month period, even compared to the designed emails that we were doing. So it's always good to have, send maybe 2 or 3 of these a month. The third email framework I love is called the Mirror and Crystal Ball. And I got to give full credit to my man, Andrew Gould, who is a legendary copywriter. And he's the one who sort of taught me about this. But the idea is basically it's kind of like a transformational email, but you want to kind of use the mirror, which is showing people the struggle or kind of where they are now. Let them know it doesn't have to be like this. And then the crystal ball is what their life is going to look like after they start using their product. So you show them a before and after, and then your product is sort of the bridge between those two. Another one, very simple, is just social proof and like a product spotlight. So just go and collect all of the reviews that you have for a specific product, put all that into one email, and you can kind of lead into it with something like, here's what people love about our brands, here's 5 reasons why people choose us, and then lead in with some of your best reviews there. Very simple, very easy to put together, but it's also very helpful because again, people want proof. They want to see that other people are having a good experience with your brand. The fifth one that I really like, I think is really easy, is listicle. It's just kind of a fun way to show people on your email list how they can use your product. To me, I almost think about this as like a magazine, and then the goal is just showing people how they can use your product. So like I said at the beginning, this is a very common problem for many brands, is that people just don't have the time to execute on a email and SMS campaign workflow. And it's incredibly frustrating because it means that you're not getting as much revenue as you should be. You have this kind of just getting kicked down on your to-do list, and it's incredibly frustrating. I know that because I've helped dozens of brands with this exact same problem, and the turnaround is very quick. If you're only sending 1 to 2 campaigns a month, it's really not out of the question to double or even triple your email campaign revenue in a 1, 2, or 3 month period simply by sending more campaigns. I hope this video gave you some insight into how you can maybe set up your own campaign workflow with a calendar and some frameworks for you to execute on this yourself. And again, you can click here to watch another one of my videos to learn more about email or retention marketing. And also feel free to go and check out my newsletter where you can get some monthly tips about email or retention marketing. All right, catch you next time.